Hoops Tribe. The Indiana Fever win the fifth annual Commissioner's Cup on the Minnesota Lynx's home court. I can tell you, I have not been so excited to see an electric slide than what I was today, but I just didn't get it. And I'm disappointed in the Lynx. I've seen them go through droughts in the second quarter. We just saw this when they played against Atlanta and they were still able to turn that game around, but they were just bullied by Indiana in the basketball sense. I don't mean that in any other way, people, but that it was a lot of bully ball and the Lynx could not handle it, specifically with Aliyah Boston, who ended the game with a double-double. Also, Sophie Cunningham was strong coming off of the bench with 13 points, but Aliyah Boston, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. She didn't shoot well, just 5 for 15. Just okay numbers from the floor. She missed a lot of bunnies. It's like a lid was on the basket, really, for both teams, but more so for Minnesota. But outstanding showing for Boston and way to step up for her team. But the MVP. Now, I have to talk about this because Natasha Howard, before the season started, she said that she wanted to be the MVP of the league. And I think this is one of those cases where you got to shoot for the moon and land amongst the stars. Now, I don't know how it's going to play out for the rest of the season, if she'll end up being the MVP at some point for the league, but at least for this Commissioner's Cup, Natasha Howard is the MVP. She ended the game 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. She had 6 turnovers, but it didn't matter in the wash of things. She showed up as a vet. I've always thought that she played well in this system, and she's showing that, she earned her spot and she was the right vet to keep. Erin McDonald, again, a strong performance, 12 points. She only had 1 assist, but they were still moving the ball in other ways. They got a lot of ball movement from their post play. Aliyah Boston and Natasha Howard together had 10 assists, and Kelsey Mitchell had 3 assists, 12 points for Kelsey Mitchell. Just a strong showing for all of Indiana's starters. Lexi Hull, 2 for 3 from the field. She just had 6 points, but she hit those threes when it mattered, and that's what Lexi Hull is known for. Again, Sophie Cunningham, 13 points off of the bench, 7 rebounds, and I have to emphasize that because she was just out hustling a lot of people, and she's so physical on defense. She is a problem to most people. I saw when Naphesa Collier got frustrated and she ended up getting a foul after pushing Sophie Cunningham. Granted, Sophie wrapped her up first, but that's what she does. She's a pest. She's annoying. She plays rough, and she gets in the mind of players, and somebody got to do it. I guess every team needs that villain. It's giving Dylan Brooks. It's giving Draymond Green. That's Sophie Cunningham, and it works. It's working for the Fever. And there is this conspiracy with the Commissioner's Cup. The teams that are in the Commissioner's Cup, one of them at least makes it on to the finals. Now, Indiana wasn't looking like a championship team to me. I still don't know if they would be a championship team because I don't know if they have what it takes to win a series against a team like the Lynx, a team like New York. But it looks like things are coming together, and now that conversation doesn't seem as far-fetched because all of these teams are having such up and down moments for this season. I don't know. It's just been so crazy to see a team that looks so locked in one minute to just come out looking the way that they do the next minute. Courtney Williams had an uncharacteristic game, but it's hard to say that because she's had multiple games at this point this season. She has 6 turnovers in the first half. The bright spot for that is that she didn't commit any more turnovers in the second half, but that was huge. She never really got into the flow of the game. She was just making really indecisive decisions. And Natasha Howard, who is usually that spark off of the bench, didn't give much either. She had 3 points in 16 minutes. So for me, if I'm Cheryl Reeve, I'm sorry, fans. I'm shutting stud buds down. They not looking locked in to me. Because honestly, Natasha Howard, she isn't looking like the Heidemann that I saw to begin the season, the Heidemann that I saw that should be the sixth player of the year for the last few games. So I need them to get their focus back. I need them to lock in because now we're heading into mid-season. Now the conversations are starting to get different. It's about to look real different around here. We're entering the second half of the season. You got the All-Star break. So I need everybody to lock in so the Lynx can be that team that people are anticipating them to be. I wanted to see them go on a revenge tour. I would have loved to see I would love to see Naphesa Collier win that championship. I think that she's had two very strong seasons. She didn't have a really strong outing tonight. Just 12 points. 3 assists, 9 rebounds, but baby gotta get a little tougher. She gotta get out of her mind and wanting to get every call and constantly talking to the refs. Because when you do that, it just takes you out of your game. It very rarely I see players who get so caught up in the refereeing, get emotionally into the referees for that to work in their favor. I just don't see that being conducive because at the end of the day, the referees didn't make every single call, but you're not making every single shot. You're not doing what you need to do in order to make your team successful. So you can't put all of that responsibility on the ref. For the most part, I think that the refs were fair. They were consistent in not making calls on one end as they were on the other. Granted, there was some missed calls for Minnesota, but I also think there were just missed calls in general or calls that they could have made. There are a lot of moving screens, but before the season started, they did say that they were going to put more emphasis on those moving screens. And I think it was a matter of Minnesota's offense being sped up. So I can't blame, there were questionable calls, but I can't blame this on refereeing. For the most part, I felt like they did a decent job at their job. So there's that. Bridget Carleton had 0 points. And I thought that Carleton had gotten out of that slump with that great game that she had in Atlanta. 14 points. That's her season high. Had a season high in 3-point percentage, 100% across the board. And they need Bridget. She's a starter for a reason, but she's their X factor. She's that person they can kick it to in the corner. And just looking at Minnesota's 3-point percentage as a team, they shot 25%. And what's concerning to me is that it didn't seem like they were being intentional about getting Kayla McBride going. And she's that 3-point shooter for them, and she has one of the quickest triggers in the league. You have to utilize that. I would have liked to see more actions for her. So I saw that they were being intentional about trying to get the ball to Naphesa Collier, but honestly, Indiana defended Collier really well. They had a game plan in mind, and that's what Stephanie White does. She's a defensive-minded coach, and she was able to put together a plan that slowed down their inside presence. The saving grace for Minnesota inside and a little bit of outside was Elena Smith, and she had 15 points, the team high. So overall, strong game by Indiana. I can't say much. I'm disappointed in Minnesota. I would have definitely liked to see them come out with another win for the Commissioner's Cup. But more than that, they got work to do. So hopefully this is a wake-up call for Minnesota. They have to get serious. This was a tough loss. I know they wanted that money. Who wouldn't want 500 out? You know what I'm saying? Like, who wouldn't want that? So I know that this is going to make them work harder. Hopefully this makes them lock in because I didn't see it. I haven't seen it in a couple of games. And hopefully this is what they need to finish out this season strong and to make that run back to the finals. As for Indiana, this is a huge confidence boost to do this without Caitlin Clark. People are saying, well, Indiana is playing better without Caitlin Clark. I think what's happening, she's not on the court, so everybody has to step up. They're not thinking about, oh, I got to get it to Caitlin. Now they're playing a little more free. They're able to stick to, they have the game plan in mind. They just have to be more of themselves and be themselves to the highest degree. So I think that we're seeing them step up in the absence of Caitlin Clark. But I still think that, of course, she's very impactful to the team. And if they won this way without Caitlin Clark, who would have known what it would have looked like if Caitlin Clark was there to be to give that 18 points that she averages on the season. Minnesota shot 34.9% from the floor. Indiana shot 42.9% from the floor. Minnesota shot 78.6% from the free throw line. Indiana shot 100% from the free throw line. Indiana out-rebounded Minnesota 40-30. 10 of those rebounds were offensive. Indiana had 20 assists to Minnesota's 13 assists. Minnesota wasn't moving the ball well. They just looked really indecisive. A lot of that was on Indiana's defense forcing tough shots. They just took them out of their game plan. Indiana rattled Minnesota, and it was very unsettling to see a championship caliber team be rattled by the Indiana Fever. But that's an ode to Stephanie White. You got to tip your hat when you got to tip your hat, okay? There were 18 turnovers committed by Indiana, 16 turnovers from Minnesota. So both teams turned it over quite a lot. Indiana conceded 17 points off of those turnovers. Minnesota conceded 13 points off of those turnovers. Indiana, not much of a difference in the paint battle. Indiana won the paint battle, though, 32-30. Indiana committed 17 fouls to Minnesota's 14. So there, the stats tell you the referees, there were moments that they felt a part of this game, but for the most part, Indiana still fouled more than Minnesota. So Lynx fans cannot lean on blaming this game on the officials when Indiana ended up fouling more. So I just think that Minnesota has work to do. A lot of work to do. We'll save the electric slide for another day. The win streak at home is over. But what are your thoughts, Hoops Tribe? How are you feeling about this Commissioner's Cup? Let's talk hoops.